Okay, it's Sunday and I'm heading on out to Kroger. There's all sorts of stuff I need to get at Kroger. No buses run today. Ah, boy, there's like a sore spot on the tip of that thumb. They've been dropping, look at those crazy bombs are dropping like crazy. So though I did sleep better last night than the night before. I figured out why the Gail shield went down recently. Basically what was going on is well, I myself have not done anything wrong, actually. I had to fix my computer. Obviously I couldn't have made the YouTube video that caused the Gail shield to go back up and to withstand the fierce attack from the enemy if I didn't have my computer. So Jesus obviously is glad that I have fixed my computer. Okay, here's the problem. Sun Tzu has taken something good that I have done, which is educate myself about computer hardware and how a computer operates so that I can properly fix my computer, which is a good thing. Okay? He's taken something good and is attempting to twist it into evil, which is one of Satan's favorite tactics. You can tell he's on the same team as Satan. So I basically have not done anything wrong, though Satan and Sun Tzu are trying to make it appear that I have done something wrong. Yeah, one of their favorite ploys, because Satan is what we call the accuser of the brethren, as he is so aptly described in the Bible. So basically, I was actually ready to move on. I figured that I had fixed my computer and I didn't need to obsess about hardware and computer technology anymore, because I basically gave myself a computer education, which actually was a good thing. It helped me to be intelligent enough about the computer, or have enough knowledge, I should say, so that I could properly and effectively fix my computer, enabling me to stay online and do all the many things that I have to do on the computer, including I needed to do the Gail Series, I needed to make my YouTube video. So yes, Jesus is happy that I fixed my computer. Now here's where the problem lies. As I let the world know about my newfound computer knowledge, okay, and how I was using it to fix the computer, Satan and Satan's team was deluging the world with brain-controlled drugs through these bombs, you know, and they were causing my following to develop a computer hardware obsession, okay, which was not healthy. They were going around and fixing stuff on their computer that was perfectly operational that they didn't need to fix. So unfortunately, as a result of me doing something good, which was to fix my computer, Satan tried to transform it into something evil, which would be a computer hardware obsession, and using brain control. And so I guess as the obsession was starting to take hold in the population, it contributed to the Gail shield going down. You say, why was everybody I had a little bit of a computer hardware obsession. I too was a victim of the brain control, but because it appears that Brent and I are advancing to deity, the brain control drugs do not affect us as badly as they do a 100% human. You say, well, how much deity are you? I don't know. Maybe 30%. I don't know. But the point is, apparently when your chakras expand, the deity part of us cannot be brain controlled. Yeah, I don't think it can be. Only the human part. But we're still enough human that we're susceptible to brain control. But not as much as everybody else. Which is why I instructed Magnus that if you get anything from Sun Tzu, you need to pass it by me or Brent first before you take any action on it. Yeah, like don't become obsessed with it, don't try to decipher it, just give it to Brent or let Brent know about it and let Brent make the decision on how to handle it, because because Sun Tzu is one tricky bastard. Yeah, it's kind of nippy, but since I zipper up my jacket, I'm doing fine. So yeah, unfortunately, you say, well, it's not very fair for the Gail Shield to go down because of what your following does, simply because they misunderstood your intention or they became a victim of brain control. Well, you got to remember this, okay? It's not so much a matter of being fair or unfair. And if you look at it that way, you're going to feed right into what Satan wants, which is to think that God is an unfair fearmonger, you know. You have to understand why Jesus had to leave us. He had to leave us because he blew it as a righteous free love example. And he basically lost his argument. He was almost ready to concede to Satan. And I remember Jesus telling me that he thought he might be able to apologize to Satan and it could fix things. What Jesus meant by fix things would not have been good for righteous free love practitioners. Yeah, what he meant was, see, Satan believes that free love can only be practiced with evil, that it is the nature of free love that that you're going to be evil by God's unfair standards. Yeah, that's how Satan feels. Jesus, on the other hand, feels that free love can be practiced with righteousness. Okay? And since Jesus himself blew it as a free love example, God was about to just shut the door on this argument. It's like it's over. The debate is over, Jesus. I unfortunately have to agree with Satan that free love can only be practiced with evil, because look what happened to you. If you yourself blew it as a righteous free love example, how in the world can you convince anybody, and myself included, that free love can be practiced with righteousness? Jesus was very upset about that. You say, what happened to him? He had an identity crisis, a little bit of pride too. You know, knowing he was a high-ranking deity, okay? Knowing that he was in that respect better than the humans, he had a self-righteous pride in feeling that gave him the right to block Brent's root chakra, which was wrong. It did not give him that right, and God the Father felt that way too. And that's why he had a public correction. God did that on purpose, because he figured by correcting Jesus publicly over his mistake, though he didn't go right out and give us the nitty-gritty details of what Jesus had done, but I think God realized that Jesus had blocked Brent's root chakra. Okay? Yeah, I think he knew that. Yeah. He said he sure didn't act like he knew it, because when he looked at Brent in his Metro Gail suit, he acted like that was like he was confused, and he didn't. I think a lot of that was a performance. Yeah. It was a way to basically say he didn't want anyone to get too high on their honcho. Yeah. So, and it's possible maybe he was confused, but I think he caught on really quick. Yeah. I mean, it isn't that he's dumb or anything. He just has been kind of apathetic about this Earth project because he's against free love. You know, even Satan said so. So, yeah, okay. So basically, the thrust of the argument was this. Jesus went before his dad and said, Dad, free lovers can exist in righteousness. I plan on showcasing a free love utopia during a 1,000-year millennial reign to show you that it can be done. And I think Jesus was also planning to use the church bride as a metaphor, okay? Where he was actually, he originally, he even admitted this, he originally conceived of the idea to rule over the earth in the millennial reign, okay? And have a righteous utopia, a return to Garden of Eden conditions. And he would have ruled this earth the way that a lot of theologians interpreted the future events, especially the pre-mill dispensationalists, right? Where the church bride would have been like a metaphor, where Jesus wouldn't have had actual sex with her. Apparently he made a last-minute decision, last-minute to a deity, could be like a million years, okay? That he was going to have actual sex with the humans. Which, as we know, was a big mistake. Okay, this is where God got really upset. It's like, huh? You're going to have sex with a bunch of humans? And this is going to prove that free love can be practiced in righteousness? And then you're going to violate your own moral standards to do this? Yeah, Jesus was a little screwed in the head when he made that decision. He had a super bad identity crisis. Okay? So here's the problem. Because Jesus himself blew it, okay? Because Jesus himself blew it. As a free love example, Satan is now claiming that he's right. That anybody who practices free love has to be evil. And Jesus is really upset that he blew it for righteous free lovers like myself, Brent Spiner, and my following. Okay? And Buddha. Buddha's a righteous free lover himself. He's the God of free love. Okay? So, if Jesus apologized to Satan, it would mean that Satan would get rule over his own evil free love kingdom. And Jesus would have to set up this earth Old Testament style, okay? If he wanted to remain ruler of this earth as a deity. That's the only way he could have stayed. The only way Jesus could have stayed here to rule this planet like he originally intended after he lost his argument with God is he would have to agree with God 100% that free love is evil, and he would have to rule this earth with Old Testament standards. The Bible would have to be rewritten so that righteousness is Old Testament. Okay? So Jesus had to find out who he was to see if he could be happy with this arrangement. And he probably would have needed to get a deity wife to be a proper example of God's Old Testament standards. Okay. And then Satan would probably be given a separate planet or part of the universe where he could rule over free lovers as their evil leader. Okay? Yeah, those were the only options Jesus had when he lost the argument because he himself failed. But when Jesus went into meditation with Buddha, he saw, by going through various future timelines, that there was a way he could still, in a sense, indirectly rule over a free love utopia, which this time would encompass the entire multiverse. When he went into meditation with Buddha and Lakshmi and evolved into his final form, becoming fully equal to his father for the first time ever, he realized he now had the ability to create deities. Yeah. And he decided he did not have to give up on his free love utopia. His new plan involves using Brent in his place. Yeah. Under the guidance of Buddha, the God of free love. And he still does not plan to surrender this earth to Satan. So that's the thrust of the argument. So now the debate is, okay, so God's saying, oh, so you're not going to give up on your foolishness, Jesus? I mean, look, you were so obsessed with having Gail as your sex study, you just totally neglected Lizzo and almost allowed our universe to be infected with a bunch of those insidious interdimensional mites. And you're going to tell me this is going to work? Huh? You see what's going on? So it's basically a debate on whether it is still possible for this earth to be a righteous, free love utopia. See, if Jesus loses this argument, then Satan gets this planet, and he gets his own section of the multiverse where he rules over the free lovers as their evil leader. Yeah. And Jesus doesn't want that. He just doesn't think it's fair to people like me and Brent and our following who are practicing free love and righteousness. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on. So when my following starts doing evil things like being obsessed with computer hardware, even though I myself am not doing it, because Brent and I are acting in Jesus' place, it's like God is saying, okay, so you turn Brent and Gail into deities, but it looks like they're flunkies as deities, because look what their following is doing. You see what's going on here? Anyways, I'm here at Kroger. You see that pretty hawk? I don't know what all the police and ambulance are doing over here. It looks like somebody got beat up. I think everybody's under crazy brain control. Look at that hawk up there. That's interesting. I'm on my way back. I think it's kind of crazy. I can tell everybody's under brain control. It's like everybody's being timed to bump into me. It's nuts. But as I was saying, the debate is not just about my righteousness and Brent's righteousness. It's about who can manage the free lovers better. Okay? God is not convinced that a free love utopia can exist, okay? Whereas, unless it's evil. So yeah, if, yes. So right now God's observing me and Brent, and he's thinking that I'm going to turn into an evil deity, probably. Yeah, he's thinking I'm going to turn into an evil deity. So that's why I still have my Antichrist powers. Yeah, the one who's making me a deity is not God, it's Jesus. Apparently Jesus has the ability to make gods right now. He's equal to his dad. Yeah. You say, well, what's going to happen if you become an evil deity? Then I'll still be the Antichrist. I'll just be like a deity Antichrist. Well, so yeah, God will not be convinced that this is going to work until Brent is an effective, righteous ruler over the free lovers. Effective meaning a righteous. In other words, he's able to transform this earth into a righteous, free love utopia. Okay? It has to be governed in righteousness. Okay? Until then, God is not convinced that there can be any such thing as a righteous, free love utopia. So if Satan can get all our followers to behave evil, he still wins. Yeah. You'll just say, well, they're just following your sorry example, Gail. They're imitating all of your obsessions. So what he's doing is he's using brain control on the population to get them to interpret all of my actions in the most evil and obsessive light so that they follow my example in a negative manner. Yeah, that's what's going on. That's why it's so important for me to write the Gail Series and to make my YouTube videos to give them clarity so they know the way forward. Anyways, I'm just holding all these bags with one hand is kind of heavy, so let me quit for right now. Okay. I wasn't able to get everything on my list because it was just too heavy to carry everything. So I decided to get the stuff that I know Kroger has the best of. They have good apples. I got basil, English cucumber, cottage cheese, and I needed to get some more of this. So I got some more beeswax lip balm, red onion, Kalamata olives, artichoke hearts, and chickpeas for my Mediterranean Kafka salad, to use those tomatoes that I bought at the farmer's market yesterday. Regarding the debate, let me see if I can give you all some clarity about this. I'm going to show you the clouds out here. Oh, look at those bombs. Can you tell those are bomb clouds? Jeez. full of brain control drugs too. Regarding the debate, there are two key questions that need to be answered. Think of God as the judge, God the Father as the judge. Jesus is like the attorney for the righteous free lovers. Satan is the attorney for the wicked free lovers. Okay, you say, what is the court case about? The court case has to answer two big questions. Number one, is it possible for any free lover to be righteous? Now, since I supposedly exemplify the most righteous of the free lovers, if Satan can prove that I am evil at my core, he thinks he can win hands down, which is probably one of the reasons he chose me to be his Antichrist, okay? The other key question that needs to be answered is this. Is it possible to have a righteous free love kingdom? Okay? In other words, is it necessary, okay, if it's determined that there is no such thing as a righteous free lover, then what God the Father will do is partition off a section of the multiverse for the evil free lovers to exist. Yeah. You say, do you mean that hasn't happened yet? No. The planet Earth is the test case, okay? Right now, we are considered a failed free love utopia because in the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve took of the forbidden fruit and all that, we botched it, okay? The Garden of Eden was supposed to be the righteous free love utopia. That's why Jesus cried when he handed Adam and Eve their clothes. Jesus thought he could solve the problem by dying on the cross for our sins. So, and that has helped, because we've all made mistakes. You might say, well, so what would have happened if Jesus didn't die on the cross? The rules would be a lot stricter. Very strict rules for righteousness. I mean, yeah. It would be Old Testament all the way. There would be no free love nonsense as God sees it. Homosexuality probably be stoned. Yeah, I mean, free lovers might be stoned too. Yeah, I mean, it would be really strict. Monogamy would probably be the gold standard. Yeah. Or you could be, single, like the Apostle Paul was, that sort of thing. It would be kind of like evangelical Christianity's sexual standards. To the extreme. Yeah. Jesus is not really happy with the way evangelical Christianity has interpreted righteous sexuality. It's kind of helping out Satan. Yeah. So, okay. You say, what if Satan loses one of the arguments? Like, in other words, what if you turn out to be righteous or righteous enough so that Jesus can claim that there are a group of free lovers that are righteous? Okay. Here's where it gets tricky. In this case, Satan still claims that there's no such thing. And that if you have a couple of free lovers that behave in a righteous manner, it's because they're mentally ill or they're codependent and they're scared to be true to themselves. Yeah. That's what he's saying. Yeah. Okay, so, but basically, where Jesus vehemently disagrees, he thinks free lovers at their core are good, and that if they are governed in righteousness, that they will all come to see the light. Yeah. And there may, to be honest with you, I think Jesus is right, because look, we won Zach Knight to the Lord. We won Laurie McBride, and they used to be heinously evil. You might say, well, goodness, that's why Satan likes to taunt Zach and say, Zach really at his core likes being bad. You see what I mean? Yeah. But see, Satan, what's bad about Satan's view is that you are not allowed to practice free love in his kingdom. He doesn't allow it. Because obviously, if a free lover is true love, excuse me. If a free lover is practices true love, Jesus wins his argument. I have true love in my life. I have it with my husband Brent, and nobody's going to tell me that I don't. So I'm not on Satan's team. No. You say, what is Satan's problem? He's really proud. He's a proud asshole. That's his problem. He's really proud. He was like the hottest angel in heaven when he fell. And it got to his head. So anyways, you guys, basically that's why, let's say, I'm getting better at overcoming my obsessions, okay? It's gotten to the point now where the only way they can get me obsessive is they have to brain control me. So what they do is they use brain control on me to get me to behave in an obsessive manner, and then they use it on my followers. Okay, they say, oh, Gail's doing it, so can we, and then they use brain control. You say, how can Satan win his argument if he has to brain control people into being evil and off balance? Well, here's the problem. It's not 100% brain control. So let's say you've got a seed of an obsession or evil in your life, and Satan, of course, is going to jump on that. Oh, here's my chance to prove that they're evil. What he'll do is he'll notice the area where you're getting a little obsessive, okay? And then he'll feed it with brain control. And then he'll say, well, God, the only reason that I had to use brain control was to just highlight their essential feature. This is how they really are. I'm just making it obvious. Yeah, that's what he's telling God. They're like that anyways, so they might as well quit being hypocrites. So I'm helping them out to help them to be true to themselves. And Jesus is saying, no way! That isn't what they're like. He said, well, whose idea was it for Gail to spend all this time studying computers and computer hardware just to fix a minor problem? And Jesus is saying, well, to her it was a major problem, because she didn't study computers in college or anything like that, and she had to educate herself so she could do it properly. Ah, hogwash! She's doing it because she wants to be obsessed with computer hardware and proud of her knowledge. That's what's going on, folks. Actually, Jesus is more right. I had to educate myself about computers so that I could become effective at fixing what they did. That Satan basically destroyed my computer. He used the automatons. They caused all sorts of power failures. I had all these crashes, and it was damaging everything, so I just wanted to keep the computer up. So Jesus is more, you say, are you sure this argument is going on? I am certain of it. Jesus is right. It is not that I have an obsession with computers. It is that I needed to fix my computer and make sure I fixed it well so I could get on with my life. You say, well, then why would the Gail Shield fall when you accepted that award? It must mean you goofed. Okay, here's where it gets a little complicated. We need to quit taking it personal every time the Gail Shield falls, okay? Just because the Gail Shield falls does not necessarily mean we've done anything wrong or immoral. Now here's where it gets tricky. Remember this, when the Gail Shield falls, don't take it personal, Because then you'll go in panic mode, like, oh, God's being unreasonable, I'm doing my best, and it fell, oh no! No, 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 no. Sit back, chill, and try to see it from God's point of view and Jesus' point of view. The Gail shield is falling because Satan is winning his argument that it is impossible for free lovers to have a righteous utopia. Okay? So now you need to ask yourself, why is he winning the argument? And then you'll be able to tell why the Gail shield is falling. Okay? So that's what I did. I refused to panic. If you panic, you will make bad decisions. Do not panic. So when the Gail shield fell, the first thing I did is I asked Magnus, when did the Gail was the Gail shield low yesterday? Because yesterday all I was thinking about was I was going to get on with my life. I posted a YouTube video and I talked about the computer problems. He said, no, after you put the YouTube video up, it seemed to strengthen. He said it seemed like the Gail shield fell simply because you were being bombarded with bombs, and so that caused it to fall. Okay. Now remember this. Was I sinning when Angelina Ballerina launched that Sarakaki, okay? When she launched the Sarakaki, was I sinning that the Gail shield went down to 0 because we were suffering the effects of a bomb that had the power to destroy the universe 3 times over? The answer is no. The Gail shield fell because it was hit with a strong bomb. So not every time the Gail shield falls means we have sinned. It just means something happened that caused it to. It can fall for several reasons, okay? If Jesus starts losing his argument with God that he cannot have a righteous free love utopia, that can cause failure, okay? Okay? But it can also fall because it's simply the Gail shield is being hit with something hard, like a bomb. So you need to analyze, why is it falling? And don't automatically take it personal. That's when you go in panic mode and make bad decisions. Then you could make it worse. It's like, oh no, we need to pray to Jesus. No, we must never pray to Jesus to rescue us. If you do, the Gail shield will go to minus 500. He has utterly remember this. He has utterly failed as a righteous free love example. He is an absolute failure. You say, well, then how can God let him co-rule with him? Because God right now, he's living in righteousness. Okay? He's gotten his sins right, and he's correcting them. So God's going to give him a chance. But God is skeptical that this free love utopia can work. Because you've got to remember, Satan was a beautiful, righteous angel before he fell. And he was God's favorite angel. Right. So, yeah. Anyways, the point is, let me tell you why it fell. The reason it fell is because Sun Tzu's image was transforming me and everybody on Church of Gail into automatons. In essence, we would have become automatons. We would have become evil automatons. Yeah. He was literally transforming us using some sort of interdimensional technology. If that had happened, I would be an antichrist automaton and evil. He would have transformed me into a different being other than who Jesus intended for me to be. And he would have transformed Brent. Brent's kind of like part automaton right now. My guess is that he's going to, when he evolves into deity, he's going to lose his Mecha Gail suit and become a full deity. That's what I think is going to happen to him. The Mecha Gail suit right now is not, it's useful and it helps in dealing with the humans, but it's pretty impotent against the automatons. They can handle it easily. The only way we're going to beat them is Brent and I need to become deities. Now here's the crux of the argument. Even though Jesus has utterly failed as a righteous free lover, Brent and I have not. You say, well, God almost permanently exterminated you. That was simply to try to get Jesus with it, okay? I think God actually feels bad about that right now. I think Jesus has kind of explained things to him that Dad, Gail was in ignorance, and yes, she was wrong to show you disrespect, and she realizes that, but she actually thought I was equal to you, and that I was infallible, and she felt like you were insulting me, and she was trying to stick up for me, and so I just want you to know I died on the cross for her sins, and she's covered, and just forgive her, Dad. She's already apologized. And I actually think God feels bad about that right now. Yeah. Which might be one of the reasons that he's letting me keep my Antichrist powers. He wants to protect me. I think he's thinking, I need to give Gail and Brent a chance to prove that free love can be practiced in righteousness. Yeah, but that's why the Gail Shield went down. Because by looking at that image, we were being transformed into automatons. And that would have ruined Jesus' chance to make his point, which would cause Gail Shield failure. You get it? The only thing we did wrong was we should have quarantined the image. Okay? But I think Rule 13 and the military fell under brain control as soon as it arrived. And so basically Brent needed to let them know. I think we need to let our military know that if we get anything from the automatons, you need to let Brent screen it first before you decide on any actions in regard to it. Like, don't waste your time trying to decrypt it or any of that stuff. Let Brent tell you what to do. Or let me, if Brent's not available. Because if not, we could have all been automatons by now. The Gail Shield was falling because I was turning into an automaton. Yeah. I would have been an automaton deity human combination, which would have been perfect for Satan. Like, oh, what an asset to have on my team! My Antichrist is part deity! Ha ha! You get it? That's why the Gail Shield fell. It's like Jesus was saying, oh horrors, this is the last thing on earth I need. For my human who is a prime example of righteous free love to turn into this, that's why the Gail Shield was falling. Okay? Because we needed to protect ourselves from that image. It was ruining Jesus' plans to showcase a righteous free love utopia. You might say, well, if Jesus blew it, Jesus feels that Brent can act in his place as the righteous free love example. Yeah. And maybe I'm going to take the place of what the church bride was supposed to be. Yeah. So that's what Jesus... And when that starts failing, when it becomes obvious that that isn't going to work, that's when the Gail Shield falls. So you got to remember that. The Gail Shield's going to fall when basically Jesus is trying to use me and Brent to do to this earth what he originally planned to do with his millennial reign, which was to showcase a righteous free love utopia, bring the earth back to Garden of Eden conditions. You might say, what about Jesus? Doesn't he need a wife? He actually is very apathetic about this. He's a totally aromantic and asexual being and has no need of a wife. And once he realized that, he thought it was really silly of him to be so worried about that stuff. And then he thought, oh dear, because I was so worried about that, I messed it up for the righteous free lovers. He says, I've got to fix this. And that's what he says, this isn't fair to Gail and Brent and their followers. I've got to fix this. And he said, I'll sacrifice a wife. And he said, that's really not a big sacrifice because I really am very, I really don't care anyways. So that's what he's doing. Yeah? For the sake of his children, he's decided, in order to convince his dad that this is going to work. So you might say, well, what would have happened to you and Brent if there'd be a lot less people in heaven if Jesus decided to let Satan win the argument. The standards would be different. Free lovers would have to go to hell. Yeah. Yep. They'd have to go to hell. You say, well, what about the cross? Doesn't that count? Well, it still counts, but let's just put it this way. The standards for sexual righteousness would change if Jesus lost his argument. You would have to give up on homosexuality, bisexuality, free love, monogamy would be the gold standard. And you say, well, what about people that are homosexual? They would be considered to be in sin, and they would need to strive to overcome their sin. And if they're not trying to overcome their sin, they would go to hell. Yeah. That's why Jesus was upset. He thought, this isn't fair. This isn't fair. In other words, it would basically be evangelical Christian sexual standards of righteousness. Yeah. He says, that seems like God is so mean. I understand how you can feel that way, okay? Basically, when Jesus made Adam and Eve, okay? When Jesus made Adam and Eve, he made them to be examples of righteous free love. And he realized that some of the children from Adam and Eve would be homosexual, bisexual, and that would be cool with him, okay? It wasn't cool with God. So basically, if Jesus lost his argument, it would mean that some of us were created defective. Yeah. You say, and God would allow that? Well, let's just put it this way. God never agreed with Jesus in the first place about free love. So it's kind of like God was saying, sorry that my son goofed and you have to suffer the consequences of it, but I cannot allow this free love in my multiverse. You know, I can understand why you would hate God over this, but I'm very empathetic towards him as a ruler, okay? Yeah. I mean, if worse comes to worse and Jesus lost his argument, I would be willing to give up my polyamory if I had to. And just be monogamous with Brent. However, I personally think that Jesus will win his argument. Yeah. I think Brent and I can do it for him. Yeah. You say, what happens if Jesus wins his argument? It means that we will have a return to Garden of Eden conditions. And yeah, we might all be running around naked and nobody will be sinning. Yeah, it would be cool. Yeah. It would be like the Garden of Eden. Naked and not ashamed. Yeah. And beautiful. We'd all be beautiful. I don't think there would be any, well, if you were fat, you'd be attractively fat. Kind of like Buddha. You know. Yeah, it'd be cool. Just think of what the Garden of Eden was like. The millennial reign, the average lifespan is like 1,000 years. That's what I want. Why is Satan against that? You say, what would it be like if Satan wins? If Satan wins, we'll have a lust, violence kingdom for the free lovers, which I think is nauseating. Yeah. Full of war and violence and lust. I absolutely despise that. Ugh. Anyways, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but yeah. Basically, the Gail shield goes down when Jesus starts losing his argument. Just remember that. When God is convinced there can be no such thing as a righteous, free love utopia. And so what Satan is doing, he realizes that Brent is acting in Jesus' place as the righteous free love leader, okay? And he's trying to make it appear like Brent is a total nincompoop at this. Just like he tried to make it appear like Jesus was. Okay? So when Satan starts winning his argument, the Gail shield goes down. It's as simple as that. Anyways, I'm going to get going with my day. I might be able to get a little bit done on the Gail series today. I did chop up some broccoli, squash, and carrots for my fish dish today, so I'm going to do a little bit of cooking. Might be able to get some done on the Gail series too. I wanted to mention one thing. I think I know what Jesus would have done if he lost the argument. He would have had to transform the righteous humans. Okay, like myself. Remember when he left us that he took all of Lakshmi out of me? I was like 1.03% Lakshmi. What Jesus would have had to do is he would have had to remake some of his humans. The ones that are homosexual, he would have basically had to make everybody into a righteous, okay, the ones whose hearts are righteous free lovers, supposedly, he would have had to transform all the humans into monogamous humans, okay? Yeah. And probably removed my polyamorous tendencies and he would have had to remake us. Yeah. Basically, yeah. He would have had to remake us. You say, what would have happened to Brent? I'm not sure. It's possible Brent could be retained the way he was, but he would have had to remake us. And maybe remove some memories too so that people wouldn't get mad over it. Yeah, it would have been a major makeover. I think that's how God would have instructed Jesus to handle it. And then Jesus would have to start all over with Old Testament standards. And Jesus had to ask himself, is this what I want to do? And when he went into deep meditation, he decided, no. I'm going to stick to my guns. I still think we can have a righteous free love utopia. But God was a little upset with Jesus over that. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, he hasn't given up on this foolishness yet. You see? Yeah. So God would have been fair to us because he would have remade us. You say, well, what about Satan? Satan, wasn't he a free lover when he fell? Yeah, Satan wouldn't be remade. Satan would be the ruler of the evil free lovers. Yeah. But we would be remade, I think. I think that's how it would have worked. Like, he changed me a little bit. There, I had like 1.03% Lakshmi in me, and he removed that. It didn't really change me too much, because I wasn't much of her anyway. Okay? So, yeah, that's what would have happened, I think. That way he could be fair to us, and then the rules would change. The new Bible would be Old Testament all the way for righteousness. Monogamy would be the gold standard, and non-monogamy would be considered sin. Yeah, that's what I think. Okay. Now that you all have just heard that presentation, let me tell you what Satan is up to right now. Right now, he is trying to start a civil war in the United States. He's trying to get us all riled up over fake news. Those of you who are about to lose food stamps, we have a plan in place to take care of you. The problem is, most of you are under so much brain control, you're going to believe all the fake news. The only reliable news source is 00 on cable. Do not believe the news you hear from any other source. here's the facts. We have a plan in place for those of you who are about to lose your SNAP benefits, okay? We have replicators that can actually produce food inside your house. Yeah, and you can get Gail restaurant food, or I also put groceries on my table, lots of good groceries, like from Whole Foods, from Kroger, from Walmart, from Publix. I eat a large variety of foods. So if you are in need of food, just let my men know at gailsmen@yahoo.com, and we can make sure you don't starve. Those of you who are about to lose WIC benefits, okay, that's for women with babies, we can take care of you the same way. We can replicate baby food or whatever you need and put it on your table. So, yeah, don't panic, okay? If you lose your WIC benefits, the problem is my husband, Brent Spiner, is the president. Donald Trump only does Donald Trump is very loyal to President Brent, and he does whatever Brent says. So if you're in the other thing, they're claiming that your Obamacare subsidies are about to end, and therefore your health insurance premiums are going to skyrocket. That is also fake news. Do not believe it. If your premiums do go up, it means everybody's under brain control. The problem is, okay, they are blitzkrieging brain control drugs over the entire human population, causing everybody to believe the lies. The problem is, if everybody believes the lies will happen simply because everybody believes them. So, just like what happened to me in August 2022 when I was under brain control, they put a notice on my door, okay? And it said, if you have any COVID symptoms, you need to report them to us immediately so that we can quarantine you. And I panicked and I thought, oh no, my laws aren't working. We need to take out all the doctors and medical people, right? And I ended up murdering 72 million. And then the enemy had a party. They brain controlled me, Manchurian candidated me into that. Now, right now, they are trying to Manchurian candidate you all, the population of the United States, into starting a civil war in the United States. You're going to worry, I'm going to lose my health insurance. Or you may say, what do I do if my health insurance premium goes up? Just stay calm. We have cube doctors. We are working outside of the medical hospital system. They make house calls. If you cannot afford health insurance, they will do it for free, okay? So if you get a notice that says your premiums have gone up, and they say you have to pay them because of that, just ignore them. You say, I'm going to lose my health insurance. Don't worry about it. Our doctors are going to come out to your place. Gailsmen, GAILSMEN @yahoo.com. If you're one of these people that are going to lose your health insurance premium, there is no need for this government shutdown strategy. I'm not really sure what's going on with that, but I do believe it's possible that most of these senators could be also under brain control, okay? Satan and the automatons are orchestrating this whole thing to start a civil war. If you're about to lose your health insurance, first of all, why would you want to be under the care of an evil automaton doctor? You don't have to do that. Our doctors make house calls. And if you believe that you have to be under the care of an evil automaton doctor, see, as a result of the 72 million innocent medical people that I gave the order to murder in August 2022, all of your medical people are automatons. So if you go to a traditional brick and mortar building, hospital or doctor's building, more than likely you're going to be seeing an automaton physician. I wouldn't trust them with my life. They're evil. They have Sun Tzu, when he made the announcement in July 2024 to take over the world, he wanted to kill me because I'm in his way, right? And he said that he would kill anybody who would not be subservient to him. And he said, I have all the 72 million medical people on my team. They're all automatons, and I am their leader. So you want to go see them. So, okay. So if you're about to lose your snap or your wick, okay, we have replicators that we can put in your home. If you do not have one in your home, that will actually vaporize food on your table or wherever, okay? We can do that. So gailsmen, gailsmen at yahoo.com. If you're about to lose your health insurance or your premiums are going to go up, first of all, why do you want to see an evil automaton doctor? They want to kill you if you're not their slave. We have made clones of the doctors that were murdered. They have had a very successful house visit program. We do house calls, okay? So, yeah, just if you need to see them and you can't afford it, we can work with you, okay? Gailsmen, gailsmen at yahoo.com. Don't fall for the fake news. Do not believe the fake news. They're lying about everything from top to bottom. Their goal is to have a civil war so that Jesus will lose his argument, okay? All right? Gailsmen at yahoo.com. Stay calm. Say, well, I'm really losing my food. Well, the problem is everybody believes the fake news, so it makes it happen. We can defeat them when we stop believing the fake news. Okay? In the meanwhile, I do believe that Brent is starting a program to try to remove the brain control drugs from the population. Okay? It's quite a job. He is a medical doctor. So be patient, stay calm, and don't panic. Like I did in August 2022, where I made a deadly decision. Everybody needs to stay calm. Keep the faith. Let the Jesus team win. And then we can have peace and harmony.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising.